I'd now like to introduce you to Laurie Morrison.
She must be crazy. Well, imagine that. Perfectly normal me, crazy. I guess I had crossed the line of ordinary reality. I saw things that others did not see. I heard voices that no one else could hear. I could speak without speaking, and the spirit world flourished around me. I was living in a world of spirits, synchronicities, sounds, and souls. I was one with the universe, and I was crazy. As I entered the mental ward, I was taken to a room where it would be determined what kind of abnormal person I was. The questions began as the intake nurse started to fill out my form. Hearing voices? Check. Seeing things that are not in the ordinary world? Check. Reacting to the unseen world? Check. All the information was gathered to obtain a label that I would wear the rest of my life. As behavior after behavior was examined and the boxes were checked, I was getting closer to a final verdict on my disorder, which would stigmatize me most likely as mentally ill. On the shelf were the mental health Bibles, the diagnostic and statistical manuals of mental disorders, all full of behavioral descriptions and labels. Choosing one or several, in my case for me, would be the mechanism that would launch a psychiatric plan. These labels would be required by my insurance company to cover my costs of care and prescribe antipsychotic drugs. The purpose of these medications would be to shut me off from the sensory world that was obviously overwhelming me. My head was in my hands, realizing that I would need to accept this fate as I was becoming a label. I knew I wasn't crazy, but unfortunately my culture and my society thought otherwise. In our culture, abnormal is labeled, and it's treated. Treatment would be telling me the voices did not exist. I was only hearing things. Another doctor arrived and glanced at the clipboard that had the words borderline schizophrenic with a big question mark on the margin. He asked if I was hearing voices. I now realize hearing voices was not a good thing. It was best to backtrack some of my previous answers when I had told the truth and said yes. I paused. Yes, I hear voices, but only when I have my iPod on. And I smiled. The grin on his face told me that I would avoid a deeper dose of medication. So who was I now that I had awakened from this human amnesia of the existence of a spirit world? Why could no one else see the extraordinary energy matrix that surrounds all of us? The pulsating field of possibilities, this cosmic grid that's waiting for us to manifest everything that we want, as long as we believe in it. My questions would have to wait. I was now redefined. This would be the moment that the successful New York investment banker, international entrepreneur, compassionate caregiver, recently widowed, fun-loving human being would be no more. I was now suffering from something. The labels were plenty for me: psychic break, nervous breakdown, even though I wasn't nervous, bipolar, borderline schizophrenic, and severe PTSD, and dissociative behavior. Did those labels really capture the essence of who I was at that time? Really? Deep, I went into the mainstream of psychiatric care. I got stuck in a societal solution that cuts us off from spiritually awakening and then lures us into normal with the pharmaceutical cocktail. When I was finally able to abandon the conventional plan to deal with my unconventional reality, I began the road to recovery. I walked out of the psychiatric formula to seek those on the fringe of solutions to heal a fragmented mind. 2 women appeared in my life like angelic beings, but they were real. They became my mentors to the spirit world and saved my life. Deborah was a well-seasoned psychic, and Marilyn came from several generations of shamanic healers, all from Haiti. They became my circle sages of sages, wise women with their feet in both worlds, the worlds where I existed. With them, I found acceptance of what I was seeing and found there was room for seeing the world differently. They welcomed my insanity as part of a bigger process of awakening into a place where I truly belonged. There was an embracing of my story now and great meaning in what was happening to me. My insanity instead was now a sacred journey. It was the dark night of the soul. It was finding myself, and it was a shamanic initiation. On this alternative journey, I was valued again for the gifts of being me, the odd me now. When I realized I was not suffering, I wasn't suffering. I was being called to be in a world of love and compassion for myself, a place of spirituality. My little soul had just been trying to emerge out of layers and layers of other people's attempts to define who I was. I had been a nut in a well-prepared Greek dessert, baklava. Sweet with honey, but smothered with inconsistent layers of conditioning from a culture that did not understand the process I was in. I was a caterpillar in a total state of destruction of the old self. With kindness and the understanding of my journey into a metamorphosis, I emerged better, wiser, stronger, and free. No labels, no diagnosis, no suffering from, no abnormal behaviors. I had just become the extraordinary me.